Pittsburgh Steeler fans, what's going on? This is Jeff Hartman, senior editor of BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, with you for another episode of the Steelers preview. It's three of us. The triumphant trio returns, or I guess we've been back. We haven't been here the whole time. But anyways, Dave Schofield's here. What's up, Dave? How's it going?
It's going all right, Jeff. Can I get you to do a little activity with me real quick?
Sure.
Okay. What is the fourth vowel in the alphabet? The hint is it comes right after the letter N.
What's that? O?
Yes. What is a three-letter word that's short for firearm?
A three-letter word that's short for firearm?
Another word for a fire. Okay, very good. Okay. Who was number 23 for the Steelers last season?
Joe Hayden.
Okay, what's it? First name only?
Joe.
Okay. What is an insect that stings with varieties of honey and bumble?
Ogunjobi.
No.
Ogun. Is
No.
it Ogunjobi?
Ogunjobi.
Ogunjobi. Oh, if you were sound like a goon saying Ogunjobi.
That's what people have been telling me.
No, it's Ogunjobi. Look up an interview with him.
I don't care, Dave. Listen, there's a reason why on Let's Ride. I just call him Larry.
I know.
Because people listen to my show and I say, Larry's contract.
Yeah.
If everyone hears Larry, it's
Larry O.
Larry O. That's fine.
No, but there's Gunner O, and then there's Larry. It's just Larry.
Ogunjobi.
You know what?
I blame everyone.
As podcast
like
producer,
there's a hard consonant in there.
Yeah.
I'm working on getting Larry Ogunjobi and Gunnar Olszewski together for the Obro show.
That's only for people like myself who can't pronounce their names.
That's a good
Thank
one.
you, Dave. Brian, go ahead. Welcome to the show. How's it going?
I can't believe this year is half over. If you listen to the Stat Geek this morning, Dave mentioned the date 723 times that it is June 30th.
Oh, it was 722.
Oh, okay. All right. I embellish a lot.
Okay.
But so I can't believe this year's half over. I can't believe we're looking at 26 days until these guys report to camp.
It's hard to believe.
So I'm pumped. And if you listen to the second half of the Scobro show, you will, if you listen, I thought that was fascinating. Thanks for putting that out, Dave, talking about a little behind the scenes at BTSC, breaking down that fourth wall about how our numbers count. And I want to
The Stat Geek podcast.
Stat Geek, excuse me. And I want to congratulate all of the everybody out there for keeping us going. Thank you so much, because we last 2 Junes ago, when I first started, it was my first month at BTSC. We had nothing. We were
2 Junes
terrible.
ago. Why are you talking about first months at BTSC? You've been on board since 2015.
As the podcast producer.
Oh, okay.
We had 70,000 downloads.
Yeah.
We doubled it last year. Dave just informed we just doubled June again.
Yep.
And it's all because of you. So we can't do this stuff without you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
But I'm going to say something. I want to thank every single podcaster on the network.
Because
it's not easy going through June and July, which is still upcoming, trying to think of somehow these topics that we know that sometimes it's a stretch, but you got to do what you got to do. And we're loyal. Not every website continues to churn out content like we do. We understand that there's a large contingent of diehard fans that honestly they want to take in anything Steelers, and you all are the best. We already said thank you for that, but thank you to all the podcasters for all the hard work. They definitely deserve a pat on the back for sure. So, all right, let's talk about some news first. This is probably the most important news, which, by the way, the dog days of summer, I said this on my Let's Ride podcast on Friday. The Steelers has been a pretty busy offseason when you think about it. There hasn't been a lot of weeks where there hasn't been news, whether Larry signs his contract, whether Minkah gets his extension. I mean, there's been some news. So, but the biggest news of all was Kenny Pickett jersey sales are through the roof. I mean, my goodness, KP8 is as popular as they come. I never would have guessed, seriously, in all seriousness now, I never would have guessed his jersey sales would be 4th overall in the NFL. Now, if you don't know who was better than him, Russell Wilson was number 1.
Good new team.
Had Josh Allen, number 2, Buffalo Bills. Bills Mafia is strong, and they have high expectations this year. Devontae Adams, new team. And then Kenny Pickett, 4. He was above Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady. Kenny Pickett, 4th jersey sales, highest jersey sales as of right now in the NFL. Go ahead, Brian.
And a rookie. the
And a
highest
rookie.
rookie.
Well, but what's crazy is there was only 2 players that weren't quarterbacks that made the list. Devontae Adams obviously won, and Cooper Kupp was, I think, 6 or 7 on the list, something of that nature.
Oh, he's big right now.
But those are the only 2 non-quarterbacks to make the top 10. And Kenny Pickett hasn't played a snap yet, and he's number 4. So people that want to say Steeler Nation doesn't like Kenny Pickett, some people like him because they're buying his jersey. But Dave, would you buy a KP8?
I don't know that. I mean, I have a Roethlisberger jersey. A guy at this size, this big, single digits do not do well for me. And then if you imagine with the 8, the round anyway,
You just got to go throwback or color rush.
Yeah, I would have to, because I don't think the roundness of it would work for me either. I don't know if I can pull off a single digit anymore. I'm just too wide. But for the player, honestly, he would be second on my list of a player that I don't have, because I do not have a TJ Watt jersey. I had one from Brian, but coming from China, it was 3 sizes too small.
Guys, real quick, guys. Seriously, I got to take this. What? The boat's in from China? Okay. Oh, you got those Pickets for me. All right.
Yeah.
I'll be right there.
So I'm sure, Brian, you probably ordered your KP8. Am I right?
I haven't ordered yet. No.
No.
I'm not only am I getting a KP8, I'm getting me a Pickens, and I'm waiting. I am waiting. Now I can't. Can you imagine, Jeff? Well, dude. You know, your face in that, and then you put my face in it, like. I mean, you don't want to see that. You don't want to see this giant head. I have to send my mom flowers every year on my birthday because I feel so bad what I must have put her through.
No,
my head is huge.
No, I wear a size 8 hat.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Yeah.
So okay.
I feel you there, Brian. I know what you mean.
So let me ask you this question, because we're on the topic of jerseys. It's always something that people like to talk about. Dave, you said TJ Watt. If there's another jersey that you would want, a player that you were looking for, who would it be?
Well, Watt, I said yes. I would, like I said, the biggest thing with Pickett is that single digit. I don't think that would work for me. It would be Minka.
No offensive player.
I mean, I don't know, because I don't know. Both Najee and Muth would both be good jerseys. Now you're making it tough.
I'm just asking, because you went all defense. Yeah. I didn't know if that was a thing. Some people only do defense. Some people only do offense.
Gotcha. I mean, if I was Brian and I jumped the gun on jerseys, I know one that I would probably be looking to get. And that would be, this is going to surprise you, I would say a number 78. But who's 78 now?
James Daniels.
James Daniels.
James Daniels.
Because I think he's going to be the star of that line. Which was my high school number. So yeah.
There you go. Real quick before I throw this over to Brian, Reginald Rivers, who's a longtime viewer, and he said, "My birthday's tomorrow, guys. I'll be 57. Happy birthday. I'll also be celebrating 50 years as a Steelers fan, and that's the year Franco made that immaculate reception. Happy birthday, Reginald.
Love it.
That's awesome. So
it's a big week for things like that. So
birthdays
and other things
for sure.
Yeah.
He's saying something. Yes. Today is my 15-year anniversary with my wife. She is a saint for putting up with me for 15 years. I'll be bothering her for another 15 plus, hopefully.
And that's just like on Tuesday, it was my 19th.
Yeah, so I was going to say,
it was a big week.
Yeah, so there you go. But let's get back to the jersey talk. Brian, you have every jersey, I feel like. I mean, you still wear your Mike Mitchell around, I think. But so, sorry.
Not much upsets me. You throw in Mike Mitchell, and I just immediately my head
go back to the kick heard around the world video.
Around the world.
That joke.
It was a Joe Hayden jersey.
We sent Mike Mitchell in the BJ Finney pants down there to retrieve the footballs. But Brian, who are you getting? You said you're getting Pickens. You said you're getting a KP8. What else?
You know, I would love to get. See, I would like to get a DeMarvin Leal jersey when I figure out exactly if he's going to keep that number, if he's going to stick. But I'm not going to get that right away.
Looks really nice. I
But
think that 98 looks nice on him.
Yeah.
I have a 98 though. I have a Vince
Vinny
Williams
Vinny
color
Vici.
rush. A Vinny Vinny Vici. Gosh, I still have a Jarvis Jones and a Richard Huntley, and I wish I was kidding. But you know what? I gotta get a Pickett in there. I have the Minka. I don't have a Deontay Johnson. With the contract talk, I'm probably going to stay away from it. But Sherry Richards is asking if I'm going to get Mason Cole pants. I was looking, they were a little too expensive and I didn't have the money, but there were some Zach Banner pants that would have fit me really well. Even though they would have been a little tall, but that's fine. I think if they're still available next time, I'm going to grab those because they'll fit better. What I did not know, and Zach Banner did tell me, that BJ Finney was abnormally thin as far as he wore a size 38 pants, and when I bought them, I had no clue they were size 38s.
I haven't worn size 38 since I was in middle school.
I've never worn 38s in my life. So happy, and also happy retirement to BJ Finney, who kind of announced his retirement, just is very silent off to the side. No one talked about it. We covered it. Dave wrote that article for the website. He was BJ Finney, no longer in the NFL. A happy retirement there. Let's get to the crux of the show tonight, and that is all about Mike Tomlin's coaching tree, or lack thereof. Brian, you want to talk about this? I'll let you introduce it so that we can get the discussion rolling.
So for years, gentlemen, we've talked about various coaching trees. Of course, very famous was the Bill Walsh coaching tree. Then you had the Tony Dungy coaching tree, which Mike Tomlin is a part of. And we talk about the Bill Belichick coaching tree because his coaches have ended up everywhere. Have they been ultra successful? No, not all of them, but there have been a lot of them. Then you look at Mike Tomlin, and there was not a whole heck of a lot of coaches to come from that coaching tree. Now, one guy that you could say possibly comes from that tree, but I don't even consider him, is Bruce Arians, because BA was here way before. And of course, he won a Super Bowl, and you could put an asterisk there and say, well, he was a assistant coach under Mike Tomlin. He comes from the tree, but we all know that's not true. So I'm looking, and a lot of guys leave the Steelers as coaches, and sometimes we don't hear from him again. Keith Butler retires. Randy Fichtner I had an old-fashioned milk carton the other day. I looked at it. There was Randy Land's picture on it. I don't know.
I thought I saw him greeting at Walmart or something like that.
Yeah, I have no clue where Randy is. God bless him. I hope he's doing well. But there's not a lot of people that have gone on to great success after leaving the Mike Tomlin coaching ranks. So there's a new roster of coaches. A lot of guys have come in, and the question is this tree about to flourish?
Do you count USFL as Mike Tomlin coaching tree?
Well,
isn't Todd Haley or is he XFL?
No, he's USFL.
Yeah.
XFL would be
Hines Ward.
Hines Ward is a player. Well, did he intern one year with the Steelers?
He was an intern with the Steelers.
I know Woodson did too, but I think that was before Tomlin.
Yeah,
when he was with the Steelers,
right?
And who's also coaching an XFL team next year.
And of course, Kirby Wilson, who the Maulers absolutely stink. And I'm really bummed about the whole Pittsburgh Maulers thing. I cry in my purple t-shirt all the time now, but no one has really gone anywhere. But with some of the new guys coming in, and here's the first question I want to ask you, and I'll start with you, Jeff. Will Brian Flores be a part of the Mike Tomlin coaching tree, or is he a part of the Bill Belichick coaching tree?
I think it depends on how long he's in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
So if he gets a job this next coaching cycle, then I say no, he's absolutely not Mike Tomlin's coaching tree. But if he stays in Pittsburgh for 4 or 5 years, I say yes. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, I think he'll always be part of the Belichick tree. I don't know that he'll ever get away from that, since that's where he started and then went to be a head coach the first time. So, but the longer he stays in Pittsburgh, the more you could be thinking of him in that manner. But you also have to remember, a lot of people might not realize this. They're like, oh, well, if he gets a head coaching job next year, the Steelers are going to get draft picks. No, they're not. He's got to be with the organization for 2 years before that kicks in. So I didn't know that until I did some research on it, just so I would know. So we don't want Brian Flores to go anywhere anytime soon, but that guy's too good to not be at least a defensive coordinator, if not a head coach, eventually. But you never know with everything going on with the lawsuit how other teams will feel about it.
So, Brian, who else do you have on the list of potential names outside of Flores that could be considered a hot commodity?
Well, we are about to find out what's going to happen with Matt Canada. You know, he was actually considered for other offensive coordinator positions. If the Steelers come out and look pretty solid with this new offense, with Mitch Trubisky being maybe the right guy to run it this year, and if they start putting up a lot of points, he will become a hot commodity. I would be shocked if he doesn't, if this works and they turn into a team like the Buffalo Bills with a quarterback that all of a sudden is putting up a lot of points. So I would think Canada would be the guy. Dave, what are your thoughts on Matt Canada in the future? Do you think he's head coach potential?
We don't have enough data to give a good conclusion there yet. Based on the data we've had so far, I'm saying no. But 2022 could change that immensely. So I'm hopeful that one day he will be, but as of right now, based on his resume, I would say I would be very surprised.
I think right now it's a resounding no. I mean, what has he done to be considered a head coach? He had a floundering offense in 2021. So like you said, he's going to have to put up some great numbers this year. And even then, I think he would have to do it for more than just 1 year. What do you think, Brian?
Gentleman's bet, fellas. I'm going to say that Matt Canada is a coach in this league in 3 years.
A head coach?
Head coach in this league. I think
3 years. Counting this one or after this one?
After this season. Well, counting this season. So
2025.
22, 23, 24. Yeah, by 25, he'll be a head coach in this league. Because I think this offense is going to come together. I think it's going to click. And I think it's going to be a flavor of the month. Am I saying that he is going to be one of the greatest coaches of all time? No. But look at how Todd Haley just took a couple years with Kurt Warner to become a head coach. And that's what happened before he flamed out in Kansas City and came to Pittsburgh. But he was a hot flavor of the month with a high-powered offense. And it was basically because look at the guys that he had there. He had Larry Fitzgerald, he had Anquan Bolden, and he had the guy throwing the ball, Kurt Warner, a Hall of Famer. So all three of those could very well be Hall of Famers. So if you get this guy to be hot and this offense to be hot in Matt Canada, yeah, I would not be shocked if he's a head coach in this league.
Yeah, that's a bold prediction.
The reason I think that's a bold prediction is because that means the Steelers' offense is going to be something this year,
and in the following years too.
Yeah. So trust me, I'm not calling that, but if that's the byproduct of things, I will take it.
If there's anything that would hold true about that, if that's the timeline here, is that it would hold true to the fact that Matt Canada never stays in one place very long.
Yeah.
Ever. Go back and look at his coaching career. Go all the way back to college at NC State. Wasn't there long. LSU. It was a dumpster fire. He was gone. Maryland. He was the one that took over after that player died due to, I think it was heat exhaustion.
Yes.
He had a really good season. And they actually were a winning program. A lot of fans, and we live in Maryland, so we hear all this stuff. They wanted him to remain the head coach. Nope, wasn't there. He gets it. Someone else gets hired. He's gone again. So that would hold true with Matt Canada for sure. I think I know where you're going to go next.
Where I'm going to go next?
With the next coach.
With the next coach, of course. And the next coach is Frisman Jackson.
That's the next coach. That was not my guess.
Oh, really?
I thought you were going to go TA, Terrell Austin.
Well, I was going to do offense first.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Let's go. Let's stick with offense.
But I'm not going with every single coach.
Thankfully
here, but I really think that Frisman Jackson is this ties into what Canada could do. but a lot of people are excited with him coming in and what he has done with other receiving cores. And really, I think Frisman Jackson is a guy that is being looked at right now as an offensive coordinator. There's a lot of people that are looking at him. I think they're considering him if this offense plays well again, just like Canada. I would think Frisman could be a guy on a short list.
That's interesting. I never thought Frisman Jackson was anything more than position coach, or not, or at least I'm sure he's capable of, but never thought that would be the case with him. Dave, what do you think?
Well, also remember that last offseason, Steelers wide receiver coach Ike Hilliard had an interview for an offensive coordinator position. At the end of the season, no one even realized that the Steelers didn't bring him back. Yeah. Next thing you know, they're hiring a wide receivers coach, and we're like, the Steelers needed a wide receivers coach.
Yeah.
So you never really know how it could play out from what at one time you're one thing, and then next thing you know, you're back coaching in college.
There are windfalls from good seasons. And if this offense becomes a 27 point per game team and into the 30s, then a lot of guys are going to benefit from it. I'm not saying that Mike Sullivan, I think he is a career quarterbacks coach, maybe possibly an offensive coordinator, but I kind of think at the state of his career, he's probably going to stay put. I don't know much about Pat Meyer as far as a future for him. I can't even speculate. I just know or speculate or recollate. But I could look at guys like that and think that, they might be able to move up. But if this offense does well, it could be, you could be reigning head coaching jobs.
You're right. There's just a lot of moving pieces to that puzzle with the 27 points per game. That's lofty. I would love that. Trust me, I would love that. You'd have to go back to the Killer Bees since the Steelers came close to that average. Yeah. So it'd be interesting. Dave, anything to add?
Yeah, see, we don't see much of a Mike Tomlin coaching tree, and I think I have a reason why. I think he really looks for specialists. Specific specialists, like think about Coach Faulkner with the running backs. They talk about the weird drills that he does and things of that nature. And I think he almost goes so much specialist for each individual position that sometimes when you are such a specialist, they don't look at you as being more of a coordinator because you're really honed into on one position. And I think that might be some of the things that happens with the Steelers, but I also think that's because Coach Tomlin's not trying to groom the people to be, coordinators and head coaches, because he's ultimately wanting them to be the best at their position group, at their job, at what they do that season right then. That's his concern. So it's not really a focus because of that. So I don't know. Maybe that's part of the reason.
It's good. What else you got, Brian? Who's your next name?
Well, I think we are going to jump over to the defensive side of the ball right now, and it is Terrell Austin. And TA, he has been a defensive coordinator in this league before. He actually had some very good players at one point in Cincinnati, and then things kind of fell apart there when things went off the rails, when Vontaze Burfict went nuts, Pac-Man Jones went away. So I don't really know exactly everything that went on there, but he was a very good coordinator. Then all of a sudden next thing you know, he's somewhere else. So, but TA has a lot of good ideas here. And I also almost feel like he's being overshadowed by a guy like Brian Flores coming in. But the news that came out this week was the fact that we might possibly be seeing Terrell Austin calling the defensive plays 100% and Mike Tomlin taking a step back. So it could be very interesting on the defensive side of the ball, Jeff.
Yeah, this is going to be a unique thing. And I want to say that Terrell Austin has been on head coaching interviews before. I want to say that his name was included, not as a part of the case against the NFL from Brian Flores' lawsuit, but that his situation, that he felt that his was a sham interview just to check a box. I can't remember the team. Dave, are you recalling this at all? And I just trying to think of the team that interviewed him, and he said it was a joke. It was a complete joke.
I'm recalling it about the same way you are.
Okay,
I can't
so
remember what team
he
it
did,
is.
but he did say it. It's out there. Like this is
Yeah.
not, I'm not making it up. So he has at least been in contention for, if you call that contention, a head coaching job. His name has been brought up. We'll put it that way. So I think that's something important to mention when you're bringing up this topic. But in terms of Terrell Austin, I think that he's kind of bounced around a little bit. Some people are just good coordinators. Look at Dick LeBeau. Some just great coordinators. But Terrell Austin, if he keeps the defense going, if he brings some new wrinkles into the Steelers defense. But again, like you said, Brian, there's always going to be that caveat of Brian Flores, and who's the one that's really putting these wrinkles in? Is it Austin or is it Flores? I don't know. Dave, what do you think?
Well, I mean, everyone's made such a big deal that Coach Tomlin was calling plays. Didn't we talk about him and the whole idea of holding the sheet? And the only time, yeah, and that was when Butler was out with
he was
COVID.
with protocol, yeah.
So the head coach chimes in to say what's going on. I mean, when I was a head, freshman coach, even though someone else was the defensive coordinator, I was the offensive coordinator at the time. If I wanted them to do something different with the defense, I say, hey, do this. And it would happen. Is that me calling the plays, or is that me as a head coach interjecting and saying, hey, let's see if we can do this in this situation because it's a great chance to do something. So I don't know that Coach Tomlin is going to have his say in everything. He's the head coach. It's how it works.
I agree. What do you think, Brian?
If you listen to Vince Williams with Arthur Moats this week, talking about the glory of Mike Tomlin and how he says, hey, we don't need to adjust. Carson Palmer is going to blow this up on his own. We don't have to worry about this. He will interject all the time, and they do follow him because they do believe exactly what he's going to say. And it was really interesting. He says something, we listen because he has saved us more often than not. As players, we have the pride that we're good players, but no, there's so many, and we're not going to come out and tell you how many times he saved us, but he has saved us and won games for us just by things that he's done. So that might be he is definitely the guy in charge there. And going back to Dave's point about the Steeler tree, maybe it's the fact that he has he's the general, but he has all these lieutenants underneath him.
That's a good point. Brian, did you have any other coaches, or was that it?
I have an interesting one here, and it's Carl Dunbar on the defensive line. This guy was a second-round pick of the Steelers way back in 1990. He's come full circle, being back with the team. When Tyson, I always mess up the last name. I'm going to say Alu, and Dave's going to tell me if I'm wrong. Did I get it right this time, Dave?
I'm pretty sure it's Alu.
Alu. See, I do that every time, and I always try to listen to
I always think of the Palamalu. It's Palamalu song, and it's Alu.
When Alu was going to leave for Jacksonville, who called him up? It was Carl Dunbar. That has been a very good defensive line for a long time. Of course, you've had 28 years of John Mitchell there, who is not going to be going anywhere else. He is the assistant head coach, but he chimes in. But Carl Dunbar seems like that guy that could possibly get consideration for a defensive coordinator position. Now, I made a comment that there could be a lot of head coaching jobs earlier, and I saw Dave's face kind of drop when I said that. No, there could be all kinds of promotions available. Yeah. There could be coordinator positions or chances to go higher with another team. But I really like Carl Dunbar, and I really like the identity of that defensive line and how he coached up a guy like Loudermilk, Kevin Smith, when Kevin Smith talks, we listen to him. And when Kevin Smith said, I don't know about this guy, when Jeffrey Benedict's saying Carlos Davis is not good at football, when he's saying that, and you have a guy like Carl Dunbar coaching them up and turning them into a little bit better right away and a chance to go so much higher, then you've got to think that this guy has a magic touch.
Yeah, I would never have guessed Dunbar. I never would have. Not that he doesn't deserve it. It's just one of those names that doesn't come to mind. Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, the problem I think with Carl Dunbar, which I think he would make an interesting choice as defensive coordinator, but once again, he's one of those guys that's really specialized. I don't know how much he branches beyond that because I don't know. All I know is what he does really well. But it's kind of goes with the whole adage of beware of the offensive coordinator under an offensive head coach when it comes time to hiring a head coach. Beware of, Eric Bieniemy, even Byron Leftwich. Beware of when it's an offensive minded coach and then they have an offensive coordinator, beware of promoting them. With Carl Dunbar, you have to ask yourself, how much is Coach Mitchell still in the defensive line room? I don't know, but that's also something that other teams might not know and might be asking that question if it comes to throwing his name around. That's the only downside I could see. But I think he's a great coach for everything I've seen so far.
Brian, final thoughts on that?
I thank you for backing me up on that. I really like Carl Dunbar, and I don't think he gets the acclaim that he deserves. One last guy to talk about, and this is the big one. I've been saving this for last. Danny Smith Jr., boys.
He's a lifer, man.
Yeah.
I didn't see the video that the White-Yins talking about guys talked about where during OTAs he was in there curling with the guys shirtless and they were just going nuts. I guess someone had it on their Instagram stories or something. I haven't seen the video, but Danny Smith is like a lifer. I don't think that guy, you're going to have to tell Danny Smith to leave. He's not leaving on his own accord. Like, I don't think retirement's in his repertoire or his vocabulary. Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, he's got, I know on Seinfeld with Costanza, it was where he was hauling around the trophy and everything.
Trying to get fired,
but I'm trying to remember if it was there or if it was another show that I'm trying to think of where somebody actually did get fired, but they just kept showing up to work. That they're like, okay, well, just you're not going to. Oh, we're going to have to let you go. And they kept
too, wasn't it?
I was trying to think
it could be Kramer, who I don't even work here.
Yeah, he just showed up one day and just got done.
That's why this is so tough.
Yeah, that it was that's Danny Smith. He's the guy. You have to say, all right, it's time for us to move on, and he's still going to be showing up in the weight room, working out, and coming out on the field with his bubble gum. Yeah,
there you go. That's good.
So that's all we have tonight as far as that. So, gentlemen, do we have any trivia?
Well, I have one question here before.
Brian's taking over for Jeff.
No, hey, that's fine. I can take it.
I always wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
How hireable, and this is going to go all the way back to the beginning of this discussion, how hireable, in your opinion, is Brian Flores right now, even after this season? Like, to me, that's a question. Now, Dave talks about comp picks and has to be there for 2 years. And really, I'm just talking about, in your own opinion, how hireable is someone like Brian Flores when he has the litigation going against the NFL? And even after, even if that gets settled or whatever, Brian, what do you think?
Wow, that is such a great question. If this is a top 10 defense, and if this is a top 5 defense, he's going to catapult to some lists, because you do have some owners that say, I do not care what the fuss is about. Al Davis may rest in peace. I don't think anywhere Al Davis is going to be peaceful, but Al Davis would have hired him out of spite. That would be just one of those things that he would have done just to be that renegade. But I really think that being with Mike Tomlin, being in this organization, and if that defense goes higher and balls out, then there's going to be some eyes on him. So I don't expect him to be here in 2 years. He might need one more year, but time heals.
Well, let me follow this up with a question. Your answer, I want to ask you as follow-up. If Mike Tomlin didn't extend this opportunity to Brian Flores, would he be employed in the National Football League right now? In your opinion, obviously.
Yes.
So you think a team would have called him and said, "Hey, you want to coach? Come on in."
I think it would have had to have been a
It
guy like Belichick.
It wouldn't have been New England because he threw Bill under the bus. He shared the text messages. Belichick's like, "What? There's no way." I knew where you were going. That's why I said that.
It would have to be a guy that knows him. It's got to be a, hey, I'm going to help you out because we've been through the bushes together. It's we've gone through the just like Feetner and Butler always being around Mike Tomlin, just like Blaine Stewart, who was the son of Bill Stewart, head coach of West Virginia, Bill was with him. Bill Stewart and Mike Tomlin were together at Virginia Tech. So, I really think that, talent trumps all. I'm glad the Steelers made the move. But Mike was being a big brother here. I think there's a couple other guys in this league that I can see as pulling a guy in and said, "Hey, screw the league. Come in. You deserve an opportunity. You're a good coach."
Good insight. Dave, what do you think about this? Let's first go back to the initial question, which was how hireable is Brian Flores?
I would not have been surprised if he ended up not coaching in the NFL this season if it wasn't for the Steelers. Of just everyone just saying, let's wait and see how this plays out first. So I don't know. I'm glad the Steelers grabbed him up. So I'll say that. Now you're talking about in the future. That was the second question, right?
The second question was if the Steelers wouldn't have. You basically flipped the questions. You answered the second question.
Okay,
first.
All right, sorry. So that's when you asked about what would have happened this year. So then for the future of how hireable is he, it's really got to be the right situation. Like I don't know if any of the open head coaching jobs this past year, I thought he would have got one right away. But
I thought Houston.
Yeah, Houston was the one that I thought maybe. But after the lawsuit, I think his pool of teams that would still do it really shrunk, and then they actually have to have an opening at head coach. So that's, to me, it's not like it's out of the question. It would have to be the right team looking for a head coach, and the problem is those right teams generally have really good head coaches and don't look for them very often.
That's a good point. Good point. Okay, we have a $5 tip from George Teston, who gave us a trivia question. And so we'll get this show started like that. And George says, my trivia question, since the merger, who's the only player to have an interception and to throw an interception in one game? It's a good question. Does anyone know?
I know it, so I'm going to let you guys
answer. Dave knows it.
Yeah. Since the merger. You have to say that because back in the day, it happened a lot because guys were playing both ways.
I'm actually going to say Tony Dungy, and that's
Brian would be correct.
Really?
Yep.
So he threw an interception as how? Was he a quarter?
I'm trying to remember because someone had asked that before.
He was a quarterback at the University of Minnesota, and the Steelers used him once as an emergency quarterback, and he had to come in.
I was trying to think. Yeah, you know what? I'm looking up when was that? He played. Okay, Dungy. He played in the late.
Thank you,
70s.
George. By the way, as he looks at
that was a great question. So it was in the 77 season when he had an interception. Let me find it. Okay, it was against the Oilers. Hold on, I'm going to look at this game. In that game, Tony Dungy. There was three different players that threw passes. He threw 8 passes. Had 3 completions to Steelers and 2 completions to Oilers.
George says, I think he threw 2 interceptions.
He did. So yeah, I knew it was Tony Dungy because I'd heard that one before, but I didn't know the details of it. But he also had an interception that game, as did Mel Blount, because it was Mel Blount. The Steelers lost that game 27-10, just so you know.
I read his autobiography, and I remember him talking about that extensively, but this was about 10 years ago, 10 years since I've read the book. But he did talk about that. And a lot of people don't realize he was not with the Steelers long. I think only 2 years with the Steelers.
And then he got cut, and then they brought him in as a defensive assistant.
Yeah, he was very young defensive assistant.
That's good to know. Good trivia. I actually have a trivia question for tonight.
Okay.
Now, if you listen to Let's Ride, you might know the answer. In which case, if you both did, I won't even say it. It has to do from the 2002 AFC wildcard game. Brian just left. The AFC wildcard game against Cleveland. Dave, were you listening? Do you know what I'm going to say?
The 2002. What was it from?
It was on.
That's right. Yeah,
yes,
I heard. I'm like, Jeff, you can't.
I was like, well, maybe they won't listen. Maybe they won't listen.
Ride or Die crew members as co-hosts. You can't do that.
Brian, did you listen to my show this week? Did you hear what I was talking about?
It was Wednesday's show.
Wednesday show, the wild card game.
Then you got to ask him.
I have not listened to Wednesday
yet.
Yeah. That's the question, Jeff.
Okay, Dave knows the answer. So I say, okay, so we all know that game. Kelly Holcomb, Dennis Northcutt, Tommy Maddox. The play that gives them the go-ahead score is what? This is not the trivia question, but it gives them the go-ahead score in the snow at Heinz Field.
Foo.
Yes, it was a draw to Chris Fumatu Mafala. What ensued after that? It gave him a 1-point lead.
You know what? I don't remember.
They went for 2, and it was successful. Do you know what the play was?
Was it Foo again?
No. An Antoine Randall L. reverse pass.
Yes.
Completed to Dave. Go ahead and finish it. Jeremy Tooman for the 2-point conversion extends the lead to 3, and the place just went berserk. That was the play. That was my trivia. It was the 2-point conversion play. A lot of people forget that was what followed the Fumatu Mafala draw play up the middle, which was still one of the most exciting games I've ever seen in my life.
I was just going to ask you, is that one of your favorite games? I would say that's a top 5 favorite game.
It wasn't. I couldn't believe they were letting Kelly Holcomb do what he did to them. He threw for like 400 yards.
Well,
and if Dennis Northcutt doesn't drop that pass in the fourth quarter, there's no way the Steelers come back and win. And it hit him right in the hands, and he drops it.
I just watched it not too long ago for a retro show, and it was one of the very first retro shows we ever did. Who was the defensive back that just got beat like crazy? Was it Hank Poteet?
It was either Poteet or Dwayne Washington, but I can't remember which. No, it wasn't. It wasn't Scott, was it?
No, I think it was a guy like Poteet, but it might be even somebody else, but not a big name.
And they just got beat over and over and over again.
Oh yeah.
But all right, that's my trivia. There you go. Brian, do you have trivia tonight?
Yeah, this is kind of a wonky one, so kind of bear with me. When I disappeared, I was actually looking for better information, and then I just disappeared because I hit the wrong button. So in the 1960s, the Pittsburgh Steelers had hired 4 head coaches. This was 2 less than something else that they had in the 1960s that would surprise you. Only 2 less. Something they should have had more of.
I'm going to say starting quarterbacks.
Okay.
They started, oh my goodness. Didn't they start like 5, like quarterbacks that were considered starters for the season? They had like 4 or 5 of them.
That probably could be, but that's not what I'm looking for. Shiesty Jeff?
I don't know.
Okay, so let me give you a little bit of a hint. When the Steelers traded Minkah Fitzpatrick.
No, it was, the number of drafts without first-round draft picks. They didn't have like any of them in the 60s. They traded them away.
They only had 6 first-round draft picks in the 1960s.
Wow.
And one year, I believe it was 1963, their first-round pick was in round 8. Their first pick was in round 8.
Yeah, there was one of those that they didn't draft until round 8. I know that because I remember looking back at that.
So also, Jeff, you're going to love this. They also, I can't remember what year it was, but they traded the number 3 overall pick away for somebody that didn't really pan out. to
Dick
the
Shiner.
Chicago Bears for another Dick.
Hope.
Dave,
Dick
you know
Hoke.
this?
Dick Hoke.
Dick Butkus.
Dick Butkus.
They traded
Yeah.
basically the spot where Dick Butkus went for a player.
And Brian, you're right. That was 63 where they didn't draft until the 8th round. But the 8th round back then, because it was pre-merger, was pick 108, which now would be around a 3rd round comp pick or the beginning of the 4th round.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
The 1960 Steelers.
Oh, yeah. Until Dan basically took over, they gave away draft picks like they were candy at a parade. That's just what they did. So, but then Dan took over and said, "This is how we're going to build it," and that's what they did.
There you go. Good stuff. Dave, you have
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, first of all, I had to do this because I was curious. That was a great question by George. About that with Tony Dungy. I knew there was players before that had thrown an interception and had an interception in games before the merger because the players going both ways. I want to know if anyone had ever done it more than once. There's someone who's done it in 5 different games. 5 different games.
Post-merger?
No, pre-merger. This is pre-merger.
Pre-merger. Okay.
So I'm not doing it as a trivia. This is just kind of a fun fact. And the name is former 1st round draft pick, former 2-time Pro Bowl, one-time All-Pro, Johnny Lujack of the Chicago Bears. Only played 4 seasons from 1948 to 1951. He had 41 career touchdowns, led the NFL in touchdown passes in 1949 with 23. But then he also had 12 career interceptions in 5 different games. He had one of each. So, but that's what happened pre-merger when players were playing both ways. So I got a question. This is a good one for Jeff.
Oh, geez.
Because it's recent. Okay.
If it happened 3 days ago, it's a trivia question for Jeff.
Yeah. I had to filter this out based on players starting at least 4 games, because I wanted to look at more starting quarterbacks. And I was filtering that out for something else that I'm doing for Stat Geek next week. Who threw the most pick sixes in the NFL last year?
The most pick sixes.
The most pick sixes.
Who is Johnny Lujack?
In 2021, what quarterback threw the most pick sixes?
I'll go with Faker. But I don't know if that's
You know what's crazy? Last year he didn't have any.
Really?
Lots of
2 years ago.
interceptions.
It was 2 years ago that Minka got him.
Yeah, plenty of interceptions.
Just none.
He had 13 interceptions, just no pick sixes.
Do you know, Brian?
I'm going to go with Josh Allen.
Josh Allen, where is he on the list? Let's see if I can find Mr. Josh Allen. Where is he? You know what? If I search by player name, I'll find him real quick. He had none as well.
Okay, so what about Carson Wentz?
Carson Wentz. This past year, he had one. He had one.
Getting closer. Okay.
I see your Carson Wentz, and I give you Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow, he was tied for 4th with 2.
See your Joe Burrow.
Well, then, like I said, this is all from players that they had to start at least 4 games.
What was it? Tyler Heineke, or is that how you say his name from the
Tyler Heineke? He only had 1.
Oh, Heineke.
15 interceptions, 1 pick 6.
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers is, I don't think he's on my list. If he had any, he had 1. He only had a couple interceptions all season, didn't he? Like he didn't.
It was low for a while.
Yeah, it was low. Let me see if I can find Rodgers. Yeah, he only had 4 interceptions on the season. So that's how many the person who led the league had in pick sixes. So he had as many interceptions in 2021 as this player had pick sixes.
Yeah, I was going for a shocker name there that out of left field. Gosh.
Who is Kirk Cousins?
Who is Super Bowl champion Matthew Stafford?
Wow.
Stafford threw the most, 4. And second, tied for second was two players with 3. That would be one Justin Herbert and return of the Mac Jones.
Herbert.
So now I can get to the Steelers specific question.
Okay.
What player in Steelers history? This goes back to 1966. They don't have the stats before that. What player in Steelers history has threw the most pick sixes in a season?
I'm going to go with Bradshaw.
I'm going to go with BTR, Benjamin Todd.
Benjamin Todd Roethlisberger has the most career by 10. He has 18 of them to Terry Bradshaw's 8. But Ben Roethlisberger never threw more than 2 in a season.
So is it?
Wait, stop. No, I missed one. He did throw 3 in 2006.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. And so, but did you say no to Bradshaw? Bradshaw's not it.
Bradshaw, the most he ever threw was 2.
So I'm going to go with Tommy Gunn.
Tommy Maddox also threw 3 in 2003, which is not the most.
See, that was the year I was thinking of because he really just stunk it up that year.
Let's go, Mark Malone.
Mark Malone, believe it or not. No, like Roethlisberger's on here like 6 times before I get to Mark Malone.
O'Donnell?
I don't think Mark Malone. It's not O'Donnell.
So you're not counting.
Well, okay. If you want to know who number 2 is, I thought that's who Jeff might guess if he had no idea.
Dick Shiner.
Dick Shiner's number 2. In 1968, he threw 4. Now my hint
Dick
is the player with the most did it in a season where he wasn't even considered the starting quarterback for the entire season.
Cordell.
Someone else did more. It is not Cordell Stewart. Cordell Stewart never had more than 2. He had 2 in 98 and 99 pick sixes.
Well, we haven't said Bubby yet.
Nope, not Bubby.
Kent Graham, Mike Tomzak. I'm just Charlie Bad, Byron Leftwich.
Kent Graham.
Nope. I thought Brian might know this one.
Terry Hanratty.
Good guess, but no.
Joe Gillum.
Nope. You're getting to be closer to the right. Well, no.
Landry Jones.
You're not quite the right decade.
Brian St. Pierre, Dennis Dixon.
Nope. Now I'll give you another hint.
Kent Nix.
It was not Kent Nix. It was in the
Mike
80s.
Mike Tomzak?
It was in the 80s.
No. Mike Tomzak played in the 80s, didn't he?
Someone threw 5 pick sixes in a season. It would be David Woodley in 1985.
How is that a Jeff question?
The Jeff question was the pick sixes of Matt Stafford.
Oh, okay. I didn't get that
the
one
Jeff
right.
question because it was 2022. I got to ask you questions that can't go back more than a calendar year. The next one was, and then the only other part was because I thought you might just throw out Dick Shiner, which was number 2 on the list. So I thought you might.
I got that.
Jeff, what number was David Woodley?
69.
Close, 19. It's off the rails. 69.
They had jersey rules back then.
Yeah. So, but you kind of gotta give it to a player who only completed 94 passes in a season, only had 6 touchdowns to 14 interceptions, but had 5 pick sixes.
Almost won a Super Bowl too.
Yeah. Crazy.
That's no bueno. All right, good stuff. Let's do some final thoughts here. Brian, go ahead.
My final thoughts tonight are 4th of July is coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope everybody is having a good time with their friends and family. I hope everybody has good weather where they're at. And I hope everybody remembers what that day was about in 1776. So with that being said, happy 4th of July and God bless the USA.
Dave, final thoughts?
Yeah, you might have heard this on the Scobro show, but I will not be here next week. I will be vacationing. I will be in the Outer Banks. Okay, because how many times I said I was going to.
Dave says he's on vacation. You got to drink.
Yeah, but if I move my microphone a little bit, you can see my nice SB Nation behind the steel curtain flag. It's on YouTube and Facebook Live, you can see that I have the black flag up. On the other side, it is gold with the logo. We'll be flying that down there. So if you happen to be in the Outer Banks, look for Behind the Steel Curtain logo and say hello. It's a popular place to be during the 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July to everyone out there. Don't pull a JPP. Don't play your hand off. Be smarter than that. Otherwise, stay safe out there. Dave, why don't you send us out?
Hey.
All right. We'll see you next week for another Steelers preview. Take it easy.